Hello guys, Oscar Hotel 8, Sierra Tango November Julian here for Off Grid Ham Radio. Hey, today we're talking about the Chameleon MPAS and specifically the MIL or Mill Whip. Now, over the years, I've been responsible for introducing the MPAS antenna system from Chameleon to many operators all around the world. Sadly, what I haven't done in quite a while is talk about maintenance procedures required if you're using the Mill Whip antenna outdoors very often, or if you have it at home deployed as your primary antenna for many weeks or months at a time. There's really just two symptoms to look for when you suspect there's some sort of maintenance or technical issue with your Mill Whip antenna. The first is a reduction in reception. The next is unusually weak signal reports from stations you regularly speak with over the radio. And the next is unusually high SWR when you're not using your antenna tuner. Naturally, this means we should periodically check the SWR of our antenna systems without an antenna tuner, simply to troubleshoot or quality check the performance of our antenna systems. Now, the three most common sources of failure in the Mill Whip are moisture, dirt in the joints, or a failure in the elasticity of the cordage used to hold the Mill Whip together when it's deployed. Now, really, we can break down the maintenance procedure into two categories: inspection and maintenance. Inspection, we're going to need a multimeter to check the continuity between the bottom of the Mill Whip as well as each consecutive joint. Now, to carry out the inspection, we're going to need a multimeter which supports continuity measurements. If I'm at home, where weight isn't an issue, I usually use my Fluke 87. If I'm out in the field, I use the Fluke 101, which is usually with me in my kit for troubleshooting out in the field. Both of these have continuity measurements, and any multimeter with continuity measurement capabilities will be fine. Now, it also wouldn't hurt to have some Q-tips to dig out the icky stuff from in between the sections of the Mill Whip, as well as a pipe cleaner to clean things up inside, and a bit of very fine sandpaper if we have oxidation built up on the contact points between the sections of the Mill Whip. Now, the first part of the inspection, we're going to inspect the elasticity of the cordage enclosed inside of the sections of the antenna. That cordage should be firm, tight, and ensure a tight fit between the sections so that they make good contact. If the cordage has weak elasticity, it'll need to be replaced. The next thing we're going to do is check for continuity. The trick here is testing for continuity two sections at a time. So from the bottom to the top of that first section, and then from the bottom to the top of the second section. This way we know we have continuity throughout the entire whip. Next, we're going to use our Q-tips and pipe cleaners to clean out all the gunk and icky stuff from the places where the sections make contact with one another. Now, the reason the gunk and icky stuff builds up inside these sections is the cups are actually facing the wrong direction. The cups are facing up, so the next consecutive section will fall down into it. This was probably done because the section of the whip above the lower section is thinner than the section beneath it. If I were Chameleon antenna, I would swap these around so that moisture and gunk can't fall down into these cups from above. Once we've thoroughly cleaned the sections that make contact with one another and their cups, we're going to go ahead and take a very, very light sandpaper and sand all of the contact points inside those cups as well as the ends where the brass is exposed. Remember, the goal here is not to remove the metal. Actually, what we're trying to do is remove any oxidation or gunk or oil or grease, whatever it might be. We're just trying to remove any contaminants from the surface of the metal without damaging the metal itself. Keep in mind, we also want to get inside the brass tubes where these sections make contact. This will make a nice electrical path from the base of the whip up to the tip. As another reminder, we're not trying to remove the metal, we're simply trying to remove any contaminants. Repeat this process on every section of the antenna. When you're done, we're actually going to use that sandpaper to clean up the edges of each of the sections where they make contact inside the tubes. It isn't always apparent where the contact points for each section actually is, so we're just being thorough. Once those edges are all squared away, we'll go ahead and use some light sandpaper or a wire brush to clean up the threads on the base of the mill whip. The last step of finishing up our routine maintenance is to do a continuity check. We're going to do a continuity check 2 sections at a time, starting at the base, putting the first and second section of the antenna together, and skipping the center, making a continuity check from the base to the top of the second section. And this is the way we verify the contact point between 2 sections of the whip have continuity. You'll want to repeat this process for every couple of sections on the whip, and then finally, from the threads at the base of the whip up to the tip of the whip, but you'll have to remove the tip's end cap. Now, most of the time we don't notice this degradation in performance, and we don't think about the maintenance required for these portable antennas, especially the modular or collapsible antennas, which have joints that can become clogged with continued outdoor usage. The point I'm trying to get across is the concept of routine maintenance. We need to do it if we want our antenna systems to perform to the best of their capabilities. When using a collapsible antenna like the Meal Whip, it's important that we do this routine maintenance, keeping those contact points clean and dry. It'll also ensure your Chameleon Meal Whip gives you the best performance you can expect from it throughout its lifetime. If you like what I'm doing, if you like the content I'm creating, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up or even a super thanks to let me know. And if it's not too much to ask, please share this video with someone or someplace where interested operators might find it. Rock and roll, guys. Thanks for watching. Ciao.